Hey guys, welcome. I'm Amanda, your cruise ship employment specialist, and I am on Facebook and the YouTube channel as well for Get a Life at Sea. I help adventurers get paid to travel the world, and if you want to check out more, of course, you can head to getalifeatsea.com. But today I really wanted to talk about a really important topic, and I get a lot of emails about this and questions, so obviously I wanted to do a video. So let's talk about drugs on board a cruise ship, and I'll go to my notes here, and I'm talking about not only possession of drugs, but also using drugs. So welcome. If you are just joining on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to comment in the chat with questions. I'm going to head into the content. So when it comes to drugs on board a ship, and I'm talking any ship, there is IMO, International Maritime Organization law and regulations regarding this. So under IMO, there's a Maritime Security and Piracy section which talks about drug smuggling. And the IMO's Maritime Safety Committee really came up with this law, and this goes for cargo ships, cruise ships, doesn't matter, any ship at sea, to prevent drug smuggling. And so what this involves is not only the possession or transport of drugs, but also taking drugs as well. Hello! So what I want potential crew or existing crew to realize is that buying, transporting, or taking drugs when you're working on a cruise ship, or even before you get on a cruise ship, it's just a really bad idea. In order to prevent drug testing, obviously a lot of cruise lines are going to engage in random drug testing on board. They fly different groups around the world to join different ships that they own, and they'll take a sampling of, say, 200 to 500 crew per ship, and you never know, it's always random. In addition to that, before you actually get on the ship, if you are new and you've just been hired, you will be required to do a pre-employment criminal records check and a pre-employment medical. And part of that medical check is also, often will include a drugs test. So it's very important, even before you get on the ship, to make sure that that's going to come up clean. And also keep in mind, of course, there's hundreds of prescription drugs, foods, and even health conditions that may cause a false positive on a drugs test. So if you are on anything on a regular basis, medication-wise, it's a good idea to talk to your GP before you do the pre-employment medical for a cruise line, because you want to make sure that you're not going to fail that. Because even if the cruise line has given you an offer of employment, you have to pass the medical and the criminal in order to actually join, and for that offer to stay in good standing. So, and actually one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is that I live in Canada, and recently, in case you didn't know, marijuana is now legal in Canada. And what that means is, yes, if you're a crew member, say from Canada, when you're in Canada, technically, yes, you can utilize recreational marijuana. However, that does not mean that you should, because what it could mean is that you may fail your medical test. It may show up on a random drug test when you're on board. And just because it's legal in your own country does not mean it's going to be legal on board a cruise ship, or while moving around on a cruise ship, or in any of the countries that you're going to be visiting. So it's still a just say no kind of recommendation that I make to candidates and potential crew members. Once you sign on a ship as a crew member, you're signing on to the ship's articles. You're agreeing to abide by the company's rules, the ship's rules, the captain's standing orders, and of course the IMO, International Maritime Organization rules and regulations regarding the use of drugs or transport of drugs. And this is really serious, particularly if a ship is found with crew members in possession of drugs. The whole ship could be fined thousands and thousands of dollars, like $50,000 to $100,000 plus. So obviously the companies are very, very serious about ensuring that their crew are not using or transporting drugs. We are going to talk about in the next episode what is going to happen potentially if drugs are found in your system or drugs are found in your possession when on board, because depending on where you are in the world, there could be some different things that happen. So I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes to answer any questions that you guys may have. Again, if you want more info about working on board, you have questions about the application process, or even transferring into different roles once you're already on board, feel free to email me at info@getalifeatsea.com. Of course, you can check out the site at getalifeatsea.com, and if you are just wanting to see whether or not it's the right fit for you, feel free to take the free Are You Ready for a Life at Sea quiz. So I want to say hi to a whole bunch of people here on Facebook. We've got Reese, Jeff, and Susie, and David, hello, and a couple people on YouTube as well. Feel free to comment or ask me any more questions. But yes, to wrap it kind of up, drugs. Yes, some drugs, even prescription and or in the case of Canada, are legal, but that doesn't mean it's legal prior to joining or whilst you're on board. Somebody asked on YouTube, how many hours do you guys work on board a week? It really varies depending on the position that you're in and also the company sometimes. So I do have a video on my channel about hours. Do check that out. I can't remember the exact episode, but I'll try and find your comment in the YouTube questions after this video, and I will tag you in that video for that question. So yes, all right guys, thanks so much again for watching. This is episode 51 of Talking Ship, which is super exciting on the YouTube channel. So yes, and David on Facebook has a great comment here. If you can't do drugs on land, you can't do drugs on board. And keep in mind, even if you can do drugs on land, like for example, as I've already talked about in this video, use recreational marijuana in Canada, it does not mean that you can then do that and then fly off to the ship and expect that you're not potentially going to get caught up in a random drug test when you're on board and then get sent home. So it's just not worth it. Just say no. How much experience do you need? Serving, typically most cruise lines require 1 to 2 years of relevant experience for most positions on board. If you want more information about all of the positions on board, what the pay structures are like, the qualifications, all of that, I've got that all in my Cruise Ship Jobs 101 course, which will give you everything you need to know. Check that out on the getalifeatsea.com site. Yeah. Thanks guys again. I'm going to end this in both places. Thanks for, I've kind of set this up, so hopefully Facebook and YouTube. I'm like right in front of both of you, so hopefully that's good. Feel free to leave any more questions and comments below, and I will try and keep up with these bi-weekly at this point, and hopefully weekly soon videos and Q&As. And next week again, we are going to be talking about, next week or the week after, we are going to be talking about the consequences, what will happen to a crew member if they are found either in possession of or with drugs in their system. Super important to know. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.